So hi, so this is about second wave COVID-19, but not about the symptoms or what it's like, but about something else I've noticed that I noticed in the first wave. So I'm out of the second wave now. I had to quarantine and I had to do that a bit longer than you meant to because I still wasn't right. I'm not sure I'm right now. I'm right where I was in March, where you come out of the wave slowly. So I've just done a 5 mile run today, but I suspect it's still there somewhere, and this evening or tomorrow it will come back. And I got to a stage in the spring after the first wave where I could go and exercise quite heavily in the daytime and feel great, and then I'd get this sweeping lingering sickness on an evening, which is pretty hard to articulate, but that's not it, right? So what I want to talk about is shame and denial. Now, there's various levels of this that are going on, and it's quite reasonable, but I'm breaking it. I'm outing myself, and I've outed other people. There's too many people finger pointing at who's wearing a mask and not, but no one's doing it right, and masks might even be spreading it faster. So there's the 0-hour contract workers, and what they've been asked to do is say, if you've got symptoms, declare it, don't go to work. You won't get any money, you'll lose your house, you'll be evicted, put your wife and kids on the street and sit in the doorway. And people aren't going to do it because the symptoms of the virus are often backache or sweating, things where you can get about your job. So people aren't going to do that, and you shouldn't expect them to. But beyond that, a bigger section of people are the people who are ashamed, so they're not in the commercial system, or they are into such an extent that they can be furloughed and they've got financial support from their job, but they don't want to be a social pariah. Now, this happened to me in the first wave when I was part of a church group, and when I tested, I thought, if this comes back positive and I level with my church and disappear for 2 weeks, when I come back, I won't be able to join the group again because people are going to be so shocked, almost like leprosy or AIDS, that they're just going to steer wide of me for months. And you don't want that. So you tend to not want to admit it. I think this goes for most people. And maybe as big a chunk are the people who are in denial or ignorance. And it might not be willful ignorance, it's just naivete. But this is what happens. And I'll give you an example of my second wave experience. I keep a diary, so when I hit the gym on Monday, I felt my back go, and I put it down to, well, it strained a bit, and it doesn't. And I was lifting heavy weights, and I've lifted heavy weights for years, but I just put it down to the fact that maybe I'm out of practice because the gyms had locked down and reopened on the 25th of July. The next day I was sweaty when my friends weren't. And again, I looked at my phone and the humidity was 92%. It was really humid in this country, like being in a sauna, so a steam room. So I put it down to that. Now, a few days later, I began to get sort of a fever chill, but really quick, like someone walks across your grave. And I just put a shirt on. I thought, it's evening, I live high in the sky, when the windows are open, if you get a north wind off the Pennines. And I felt this chill, and I just put a shirt on. Now, it took to maybe Friday or Saturday when I got really ill that looking back, I realised I'd been ill since Monday, but I didn't know it. I'm keenly aware of these symptoms because that was my second wave. In the first wave, I was entirely ignorant. So you apply for a test. Now the test says if you have had symptoms, you must get the test back to us before the 5 p.m. on the 5th day of the symptoms. So it's already too late, right? So I lied on the online form to get the test and made out I just got the results yesterday. But then the test won't work. Now, as it happens, I just wanted to fill it out and do the tonsil spread and see how easy or how difficult it is for people to do. And if it actually turns up like the government YouTube video, it doesn't. I'll go into detail another time. It's all right. It's pretty easy. I can imagine it pretty stressful if you've got disabilities or kids running around. It's not the easiest thing to do, but you can do it. And the test turned up 2 days later, and I put it in the post and it never came back. But we now know, and all other countries are saying, you can't have a contact and trace system with a digital app that's really fast, where in the middle of the mechanism is a postal service. You can't do it, it's just too slow. That won't work, that isn't working. And they're trying to roll this out even more, the moonshot thing, and it won't work because in the middle of the testing system, if I've got to do something within 5 days, and the whole thing's got to be completed, and it involves, within that time, you sending something to me by the Royal Mail or FedEx, and me sending it back to you. It's just, that's 5 days gone right there. It won't work. So we're using the wrong system. So denial is huge. Genuine ignorance. I know so many people who say they've got backache and it's right down here, and then it moves to the back of your bum, the top of your bum, and they say this, right? I must have got out of bed funny, and I'm thinking, well, you've been getting out of bed all your life, so that's not causing it, is it? And that's what we're doing. We're actually denying it in our heads. I see people in my block, they're really ill, they've got COVID, they've got all the symptoms, and they just won't admit it to themselves because it's scary. I only realised my sense of smell had gone totally. In context, so I was lucky enough to be in an elevator when something happened. I won't bore you with the details, and all the neighbours went down holding their noses, and I just didn't know what they were doing. Now, by sniffing really hard, I could get a faint whiff of what they said was really pungent, and that allowed me to know that was the tick box for the final symptom. I had muscle ache, fever chills, dry cough. My legs went to pieces, so I couldn't lift them up. Seriously, I went down the street and I couldn't lift my feet. I had to stand at a corner a mile down the road on a Sunday and just stand there because my feet had gone to like really heavy weights for about 5 minutes. These symptoms are the same as the first wave, but the main one is hugely different. So 2 points I want to make that the media is not making. Well, 3 really. Number 1, out yourself. Come on, guys. It's really hard. You don't want shame. The guys who are on 0-hour contracts don't. I don't blame you. But if you're like me, out yourself. Sit in Costa Coffee or whatever and say, hey, I've had it. I've come out of quarantine. And the more we do it, the more acceptable it is for other people to do it. But you don't want to be the only person on your street who's got it. Of course you're not. Half of them have, and they're just lying about it and playing it down. So admit it. But the other 2 main points that the media aren't picking up on are, they say the second wave could come for Christmas time. Nonsense. The second wave's here, baby. It's been in the inner city of West Manchester in the poor region, speaking personally, for 3 weeks, a month. I'm in and out of it. I was in the first wave in February when everyone said I couldn't have it. Community transmission was impossible unless I'd been to China or Korea, which I hadn't. I forgive them for that ignorance, but luckily I've gone through the second wave really early, which means when you all go down with it, I can do the 111 because I've got the antibodies again. But the antibodies only last for 5 months. Now, so the second wave's here. It's not coming by Christmas. The third wave will be here by Jan or Feb. And the main point that no one's mentioning is that it's not a repeat of the first wave. The first wave stopped us breathing, and so we've set up all the hospitals with apparatus, and we've got this new understanding of when to put people on oxygen and not. And it's not doing that. It's not doing that. Why is no one saying this? The second wave is entirely going for our stomachs. So it's going for your gut flora, as scientists would say. You've actually got brain cells, not just in your brain, but in your heart and your stomach as well. There's the 3 main organs where your body responds without reference back to the brain for what to do, and we call them brain cells. It's just a breakup of the language, and it's going for that. It's a really serious big organ. Now, I'm asthmatic, so the first wave I was in trouble. I eat really healthy usually. I'm not perfect. I was eating pizzas and going out drinking when I was depressed in lockdown, like anyone else, but only for a week or 2, and I'm usually really, really healthy over years, and that's backed up and done me a favour in terms of fibre and nutrients and everything that makes my gut flora, my stomach, what it is. And so all I've had mainly is all the other symptoms: flushing, fever chills, the bed rinsed at night, a light dizziness, which is kind of nice because it's delirium, it's oxygen deficiency, the dry cough a little bit, weird muscle ache, not in my back for me, but as I said, on my legs, and total loss of sense of smell. So you couldn't even smell, say, cat urine or anything. It's really, really, it goes. If you notice that, I noticed someone the other day and pointed it out to them. I felt a bit guilty, and she just seemed to deny it. She was a lady who was older than me, and she couldn't smell something that she was using to clean, which smelled brilliant of lemon, and she just couldn't smell it. And I didn't want to, but I did say, hey, you know what that is then? And people think it's like the C word as in cancer. They just don't want to hear it. It's not. The second wave for me personally was a constant kind of lingering nausea, but not enough to have you run into the loo. Diarrhea this time as well, which wasn't here before. I say this in the context of my neighbours on either side who both had the same thing as well. You tend to not want to eat. You know where you feel a bit, I'm hungry, but I just couldn't. And you tend to stop eating. So what's happening in the second wave is loads of people I see around are disappearing for weeks, and then they're turning up with masks on and they've lost loads of weight. Now, most people in England need to lose a bit of weight, so they look all right. You think, wow, he looks great, she looks good. You see them a few weeks later and they're really underweight, but they're not admitting they've got it. So this is me making a few points that aren't being named by the media. Probably, I don't believe the media doesn't know any of this. I think it's choosing a narrative, but also it's just going off the Press Association and what's... And the doctors aren't really telling anyone anyway, but this is coming back for a different organ this time. So if you've got diabetes, I wouldn't worry because that's your pancreas. If you've got kidney and liver infections and what we normally have in our bodies and our atherosclerosis and hyperinsulinemia and all those things we do with eating sugar, it doesn't really affect our stomachs. If you're eating processed foods and you're a teenager and you look, all the kids at Salford Uni are back, and I've been down there playing pool with them. They're all back at uni. They're jammed into one massive pub because all the other ones are closed. It's just packed. Everyone's passing the pool stick around and paying on money, and there's no segregation anywhere, or there wasn't recently, in a few places that I'm not going to name. And it's going for them because although they look great, they're eating KFC and McDonald's as you do when you're 18. It's going for them because if you eat processed food, I know a few people of that age who are reporting to me that, oh, my muscles are aching. Now this is all they're getting. They're kind of getting away with it still a bit. But the virus is coming back for a different demographic and it's aiming at a different organ. For me personally, it wasn't as bad the second time. But what was worse was it was the second time, so I was absolutely fed up with it, and it lingered much longer and might still be lingering now. But the way I saw the first wave off was to go out running. And some of my friends say, you know, if you exercise in the day and you feel bad at night, maybe the exercise caused it. I disagree. You feel bad at night anyway, even if you're staying all day. So I'm fighting it through, and within 2 or 3 weeks of running every day, I know I'll just be back to normal. As you can tell, I probably look and feel better now anyway. But anyway, that's it. Thank you. Have a great day. I love you lots. Bye.